Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you're at. Please leave in the comments below and let us all know. So if you are coming back, thank you for coming back. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. On this channel, we are going to be doing wealth building strategies. So we will be talking about careers, side hustles, investments, real estate. I have some classes going on that I do on YouTube, like some study guides for different careers. That's one thing I'll be doing. That takes up the most time. And these little videos in between that I do, such as this one, I'll be doing in between. And I'll probably throw in some book reviews every now and then. So if you're thinking of subscribing, now would be the time. I'm probably going to take my face off of here. This is probably going to be a little long video. Longer than I normally do. I'm thinking maybe 20 minutes. We'll see. But you're going to hear me in the background. I'm probably going to take my face off right now, okay? So thank you all for watching. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little side hustle called donating your sperm. Now, unfortunately, guys, the eggs are probably worth more, but you can make some money for your sperm for extra money, but there are some requirements, and every place has a different requirement. So we're going to go through some of this today. I've been doing some research on it, and I might do eggs next. But typically, women make more money for their eggs because we have a different lifespan than you guys do with our eggs. I just thought I'd throw this in there. Great acts are made up of small deeds. I saw that and I thought that was like really cute to throw in there. I mean, I think it's appropriate. All right, so I know we want to get right to it. How much do you make, right? In fact, you do money. You're not donating. You are making money. I know it says sperm donor, like you're giving money away and you're not going to get anything, but you will make money. Here are some examples of some compensation models that I have found. Okay, the Seattle Sperm Bank is $100 a donation. California, of course, you can make more. You can make between $500 and $700 a month. Okay. International Sperm Bank, they give kairos per each ejaculation delivered and an increased rate for each approved batch. Now, don't kill me. I'm just the messenger. These are things that I found. Up to $80 cash and $10 gift card per donation. So that's all over the place. They don't necessarily give you cash. They may give you cryptos. I don't know how to say that there. Cryros. Cryptos. They may give a little cash or gift cards. So that's a little thing. So you have to find out what they're giving in your area. Of course, it looks like this is the top of the line. California is 140. So this is a little lower. So I want to say between 80 and 140 per each donation. Okay, sperm banks offer free fertility test results, physical exams, and blood testing as long as you remain a donor. And some provide a free annual physical after you stop donating. So you just have to check. Some clinics have more complicated contracts that require you to keep up steady visits and provide regular donations if your recipient chooses as their donor. That arrangement could affect when you're paid. Take some time to understand all the information before you set your sights on sperm donation as your next side hustle. Some of the main requirements, limitations, and choices are the qualifications, the offspring limits, whether you want to be an open identity donator or you want to remain anonymous. And here we go with the requirements. So this is going to eliminate about half of you already. Of course, we live in a very biased world. You know, they like the tall people better, as with everything. We like tall people better. We like them younger better. Um, and if you make it between 18 and 40, which is probably, you know, you got more room than us women do. Us women, it's even less than this, you know, for eggs. I think I have to look it up. We'll have to do another video on the eggs and see what the ages are for women. Height and weight proportional. And I guess they check you out when you go in there and look at your body and see if you're height and weight proportional. And in good overall health. So if you're a smoker, drug user, you got low iron, all that kind of stuff, you may not even make it. Okay, so I'm guessing they're going to test your blood before you go in there, right? All right, they like college graduates enrolled in college or military veterans. Some banks pay even more if you have a doctorate degree or attended an Ivy League school. So, yeah, it's just like the real world applying for a regular job, right? They prefer you when you're younger, you're taller, and if you have a college degree. It's kind of sad, actually, when you think about it, but that's the way it is. They prefer non-smokers, and non-drug users, which makes sense. And it's saying they would like you to provide a biological family medical history. All right, even if you meet all these requirements, you may not be guaranteed to be accepted. Okay, let's see what this says. These businesses, these sperm banks, they are aimed to provide what the market needs. So most people are not going to go into a clinic and say they want somebody that's had drug use, you know. They prefer younger people, taller people, because they want their babies to be tall and healthy, and they want their minds to be strong, you know. Your sperm might not be subject to the same kind of biases you encounter. They will become subject, which we just said, among people face to face, just like in the real world. We judge each other on our skin color, our hair color, eye color, how tall we are, how fat we are, or education. You know, it's sad, but that's the way it is. And you could be denied just because of the supply and demand at a clinic. Now, I'm not sure if it's the same as it is in the world right now. But, you know, if they need more, yeah, there you go. You might be able to get on that. All right, let's see what this says. Based on FDA regulation, potential donors are denied if they ever had same sex with another man within 5 years. Now, I'm not sure how they're going to determine that. I mean, people could lie and say they never had sex with another man. So that's going to be interesting. Or you can also be denied for genetic health issues such as blood clotting disorders, which makes sense. Some sperm banks will tell you why your application is denied and some won't. You might want more information so you're not left wondering. So you don't keep going to different sperm banks and keep getting denied and wondering what the problem is. Okay, donor offspring limits. Donation centers are regularly updating policies and practices to address ethical questions that come up about sperm donations. Every few years, a news story reveals another serial sperm donor with hundreds of offspring. Check the details. In many of the cases, the donor works with the recipient privately, not through a donation center. So these are things that you have to be careful of now. Most donation centers set a limit on the number of births or recipients per donor. And the U.S. Food and Drug Administration regulates sperm donation and other organ and tissue donations, setting a legal offspring limit. It does not set a legal offspring limit. So that's interesting. So the ASRM sets guidelines for the industry and recommends 10 births per population of 800,000. So most of these studies were done in Seattle. because that's roughly the size of Seattle. 800,000 is what it's saying. That seems kind of low. Many donation centers set limits well below the American Society for Reproductive Medicine. Around 25 families in the U.S. per donor is a common max. These are just little facts that you should know when going in there. All right, do you want to remain anonymous? If you want to remain anonymous, that way you don't know who's getting your sperm. They don't know you. Make sure you ask the donation center about its policies on this and be crystal clear about your options. These are things you might not be thinking about because you're going in there to make money. Semi-open means you and the recipient get some information about each other, but maybe not a name and address. You might learn what the recipient had the baby using your sperm, or even get baby photos, but they're not going to have like your phone number, your address, your name. They might get details about your health, your height, and that kind of stuff, and a picture of you. They might get a picture of you, but they're not going to get like major details. Open is like ongoing communication. You might go over each other's homes, have phone numbers, addresses, keep in contact as the child is growing up. This may be very helpful to the person that's actually getting the sperm, because then they know how healthy you really are and not just see it on a piece of paper. Here's the catch. Technology, as it often does without trying, has thrown us a bit of a wrench in this situation. Family tree DNA testing has made some curious or unsuspecting donors conceive children privy to their genetic roots, even when the donors and recipients agreed to anonymity. Yeah, it's just getting pretty popular with the DNA testing now. It does take a while, but you can go on there and figure it out. Many countries, including the UK, have removed the option for anonymity in recent years by legislating a donor-born child's right to find their biological father when they turn 18. Which seems fair, because somebody might want to know that if they're adopted. They might want to know background on their parents. So, COVID considerations for sperm donations. Sperm donation centers and medical facilities are subject to mandates from the CDC and state and local agencies, so you have to keep up with it. This changes, but this is April of 2022, so we're 2 years into this, and I think right now we still have to wear masks in medical facilities. Now, by the time this video comes out and goes viral or whatever, it may not be the case. Is vaccination required to donate sperm? Well, it depends. The FDA hasn't added a vaccine requirement as for a sperm donation. And it also doesn't require COVID screening because it doesn't classify COVID as a relevant disease in reproductive tissue donation, because our respiratory viruses aren't transmittable through reproductive tissues like sperm. As private facilities, donation centers might have their own requirements to protect their staff and participants, and they might require proof of vaccination or require COVID screening, for example, from people who enter the clinics. But you can't really get COVID from reproductive tissues like sperm. So the CDC recommends a vaccination for everyone at least 5 years old, including those who provide the sperm. But I don't believe it's mandated, and you have to check with wherever you go. If there's no evidence that the vaccine affects fertility, in most variety of cases, antibodies aren't transmitted to reproductive tissue. Okay, rumors about sperms and vaccinations. Rumors have suggested that unvaccinated sperms could be worth a lot in the near future. But they're just that, rumors. Most important to note here is that all sperm is unvaccinated sperm because vaccines don't affect reproductive tissues. Because vaccines don't affect DNA, sperm, or fertility, there won't be a difference between sperm from donors who received a vaccination and those who didn't, and you won't see a soaring unvaccinated sperm price. And because potential vaccination requirements would be related to staff health in the clinics and not the screening process for sperm donors, it's not likely that a sperm donation center will even record whether a donor was vaccinated or not. And so recipients won't have the option to use this as criteria. We can't say how niche perceptions of the COVID vaccine will affect one donor to another. Misinformation about the vaccine's effects would mean some families would look for unvaccinated sperm donors outside of donation centers. So every donation center has its own process for sperm donors, but they're pretty similar, and many parts of the process are regulated by the FDA. And after you find a sperm bank, you should expect to be pre-screened, to have a physical exam, and share your medical history. Provide a sample and sign a contract. These are the basic things, okay? All right, so first you have to find a sperm bank. Track down a sperm bank that's close to you through the National Directory of Sperm Cryo Banks. Most centers require donors to live within 25 miles or an hour of the clinic because if you're chosen, you'll be visiting the facility regularly. A legitimate organization will be registered with the FDA. That's how you can tell. And you enter the clinic's name in the FDA directory to make sure it is registered. All applicants start by going through a pre-screening over the phone or through the online application. Here's an example of an application. The pre-screening confirms you are eligible to work in the U.S. Some medical history, including potential sexually transmitted infections, mental illness and allergies, and drug use. And just so you know, if you have any of these things right here, mental illness, drug use, you're probably not going to get in. Your height, hair color, as we discussed before, eye color, and ethnicity. The next step is to provide a detailed family history and get a physical exam. These are some of the things you got to go through to make a maybe $5 to $7 extra $100 a month. So you have to decide whether it's worth it for you. But it would be easy money, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a guy, but I would think that would be after you go through all this stuff to get in there. If you pass the initial screening, you'll be invited for a more thorough interview. It takes a deep dive into your family tree. Be prepared to provide a detailed medical history for every parent, sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin. You may have to go back 4 generations, so just be prepared in advance. It sounds like a I can't even pronounce it. Never mind. But this overview of the process from Phoenix Sperm Bank confirms the information you expect to provide. You also have to get a physical exam that includes a blood test, a urine test, DNA analysis, screening for STIs, including HIV. And you won't have to pay anything for those exams. And most clinics provide regular physicals as long as you're a donor. Paper pulling. Never mind. Okay, let me keep going. Step 4, provide a sample. If you pass the first 2 levels, then you'll provide a semen sample for the clinic to test. It'll go through fertility tests for the kinds of things you probably joked about on TV, sperm count, mobility, and the overall health of the sperm. In other words, what's the likelihood the sperm can conceive a baby? Depending on the company, you may have to wait up to 6 months to find out whether your sperm passes this test. I mean, this sounds like a lot of work for a side hustle. But maybe if, have other things going on, like I always say in all my videos, make sure you have more than one job. So if this takes 6 months, this is a 6-month process. Just make sure you got other things going on. Semen samples are frozen and tested again after several months to make sure they can hold up in storage while they're waiting for a buyer. You usually don't get paid anything for providing this sample. And the sperm bank won't save it to sell to a recipient in the future. This is just your sample. All right, let's see. Now you're going to sign the contract, okay? You'll be invited to become a sperm donor once you pass the full screening process. And this could take up to 6 months. It could take a month. Who knows? Depending on, they're going to, test your sperm. And you have to sign a contract with the donation center. Everything come out okay. You're eligible, healthy genetics, healthy sperm. Depending on the clinic, the contract might include how much you are expected to donate. Some sperm banks prefer a frequent donor, so your contract might require you to donate several times a month or multiple times a week. It is a requirement to abstain from sexual intercourse before donation to ensure your sperm is stronger. You could be asked not to have sex within a few days before donating sperm. So that if this becomes an issue for you, then you know not to apply. Payment terms. Your contract should spell out how much you'll earn, when you get paid, how you'll get paid, and any stipulations that you have to meet. You'll be surprised at how to learn how often you'll be expected to donate. But the rest of this part of the process is pretty much like the TVs and movies you prepared to expect. You can't collect your semen from home and deliver it to the clinic. You'll have to visit the clinic, deposit your sample on site in a private room with access to pornography. You'll deposit the sample into a sterile container, and the sperm bank will freeze it until a recipient chooses your profile. It's thawed out and used for artificial insemination process. Are you ready to be a sperm donor? Is this worth it to you? Just keep in mind that infertility isn't an uncommon circumstance. About 11% of women of reproductive age have experienced fertility process, so it is a need. According to the National Institutes of Health, women who don't have fertility issues can use sperm donors to get pregnant. Sperm donation is one way to help them start families, and the sperm banks say all they need is donors to keep growing. The onboarding process is quite a bit more involved than most of your side gigs, but the payoff is fair. If you're accepted as a sperm donor, you could earn up to $1,000 a month. Excuse me. For a quick trip to the clinic about once a week. So, you go in there four times. I don't know how long it takes to do this kind of thing, but say it's a half an hour to an hour. An hour a week. It'd be 4 hours a month for $1,000. So, it might be worth all that pain to go through there. But if you don't think you have any of those qualifications, then don't even bother trying. If you think you have diseases or, if you're short, I would still try it. If you don't have a college degree, I would still try it. If you have health problems, then I probably would not try it. And I don't really know how they're going to be able to tell if you had sex with a man or not. I'm not really too sure how they can determine that. Okay, so like I said, it is about 20 minutes in. So this was one of my longer videos. Okay, we're going to give credit to Dana Miranda because she did most of the work on where all this came from. I'm going to try and do one on eggs next. It's probably going to be pretty similar, but I'm guaranteeing they're probably going to make more money as for eggs. Sorry, guys. Anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure and subscribe and come back to some of my other videos.